Well, Razorback fans, my podcast yesterday caused quite a stir dealing with Razorback football and why there needs to be nobody in the administration that feels like you should settle for average. I want to talk more about that here on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Hope everybody's having a wonderful Wednesday as we are at the midway point of the week. And we're going to talk a little bit about some Razorback basketball and also some baseball. But I want to continue on the theme with football because a lot of you yesterday reached out to me personally about the podcast that I had when talking about the administration and about people who are inside of the program that are just fine being average and fine just scaling it and accepting mediocrity in the Razorback football program. And a lot of you, when I say a lot of you, reached out and gave me your own personal opinions on the matter, but in some cases even gave me your own personal stories, which I really appreciated. I really appreciate hearing all sides of every story because there is multiple sides to a story. I know that everybody's got a different approach on how they have their fandom. Some people are all in and loving everything and everything's great. Some people are ultra negative. You know, people take things in a lot of different directions. But one thing I always try to do, and this is one thing that I have to make sure people know before I dive into it a little bit more. People must know that I am rooting hardcore for the Arkansas Razorback football team and all Razorback athletics. And I hope that anybody that listens to me or watches me takes that into consideration whenever I am being critical, whenever I'm being angry, or when I'm upset, or when I'm frustrated. It doesn't come from a place of negativity for the sake of being negative. It comes from a place of care and passion. Because I want my school, I want my team to do great. It doesn't serve me, as much as people think it does. It doesn't serve me well to hate on teams and hate on programs and hope for failure. Because anybody that is worth their salt here in the media in Arkansas, whether it's radio, TV, the written word, whatever it is, they will all tell you that when Arkansas, specifically Arkansas football, basketball, and baseball, are all doing really well and winning a lot, that helps out more than anything. That drives content, that drives clicks, that drives views, it drives downloads, it drives everything. So if anybody ever says in the media here in Arkansas that, we love it when it's that, okay, maybe there are some things that do provide some unique content, but most of the time, I'd rather have fun. I'd rather smile and laugh and enjoy Razorback sports. And that's why it hurt so much to do the podcast yesterday to me. And you probably saw a little bit of me getting fired up about it because I care. And it's amazing to hear from so many of you after that podcast of what you have experienced. And I got to the point really where I started looking at everything through a certain lens, a lens of taking the simplicity out of the black and white simplicity out of, the coach sucks, or the coach is a failure or whatever, and if you don't like a coach or whatever, take that out of the equation. Not to say that it's not important, but just kind of moving that aside and looking at a big picture. And in this particular case with Sam Pittman in Arkansas, Razorback football, as you know, is a place that can be difficult to win a national championship at, but can be set up for success. But the only way that you are ever going to be able to have that success is if you set up your coaches to do so. John Calipari is a great example of a Hall of Fame coach, elite level coach, awesome coach. But would he even be here? Would he even be successful? Would you feel good about the future of the program if he wasn't getting the support that he needed to succeed? If he wasn't getting NIL, if he wasn't getting the marketing and promotion and branding, if he wasn't getting any of that, do you believe that he would still be able to succeed at a high level? The answer is no. Same thing with baseball and Dave Van Horn. You think that Dave, one of the greatest coaches out there in college baseball, do you think that he would just be able to, go about winning at the same clip that he is if he didn't have support from those in the foundation, from those in the NIL programs, from big-time fans and boosters, the administration? Do you think that he would have that success? The answer is no. Now, I would for sure say that John Calipari and Dave Van Horn, respectively, in their sports, are much better coaches than Sam Pittman. I don't think that's exactly going out on a limb. I think even Sam Pittman would say that. However, it doesn't matter if Sam Pittman's your coach or not. It doesn't matter if you have Nick Saban as your coach. If you don't set up your coaches to succeed and the support that they need, then none of it will matter, folks. Sam Pittman has had some success at Arkansas and able to build it and get Arkansas back to at least being a respectable program. Not where it needs to be consistently, not to the level that we all want and hope and pray, but to a level that gets people fired up, excited to potentially have some success. That's what it built into, and then now it's starting to cave a little bit. But anytime you have a coach that's at a program for an extended period of time, that's going to come along with the territory. Even if they have some success, if it's not enough success to consistently be there in the mix, then that's that. But again, if you don't have the support that a coach needs, then it won't matter. I see what Arkansas football has when it comes to the coaches that they have with the assistants. I see all of that. And I see a group of individuals that I think are talented. I think that are really good at what they do, respectively to their position groups or to whatever side of the ball that they coach. But I can also see a little frustration. I can see frustration with them, not at Pittman, but about the lack of support. Folks, I've said it on this podcast many times. From an outsider's perspective, from my perspective, you're not doing anything to help out anybody. You don't market the athletic department. You don't brand it. You don't promote it. If you're struggling so much with NIL, shouldn't have you been beating the doors down on every single Razorback fan from here to Hanoi, saying, please donate to the Arkansas Edge. We want to win on a high clip. And it hasn't happened. That, to me, folks, is what is the entire encompassing example of what the problem is with any of the sports that are on Arkansas's campus, but specifically football. The NIL game is numero uno, baby. We all know that. You have to have next level NIL to compete at a high level. You can have facilities, you can have coaches, you can have great visits, you can have beautiful women, but it doesn't matter if you don't have the NIL. Plain and simple. Right? Right. So that being said, if you are a program that wants to be at that level, but you don't have easy access to NIL, you don't have a John Tyson multiple John Tysons that are willing to fork over millions upon millions of dollars to your football program. If that's unavailable, if that doesn't exist, what do you do? Well, what I would do is if I was athletic director, I would go out and I would get all the money humanly possible over and over and over again and not even stop. Never stop. Get it, go. I would tweet out every single day, please donate to this. And I would be a full-fledged, and again, right up front, giving examples of like, hey, if you want this, this is what we can do. We need help in this regard. We're slacking. I'm calling on all of y'all to help us out here. But that hasn't been done. And if it has been done, it's been done in a way where there's no sense of urgency. I fear that the resistance to the NIL from the administration there at the University of Arkansas from the get-go continues to haunt them. And you just got to be thankful that you do have John Tyson, who took control of the basketball program. You got to be thankful for Dave Van Horn, who has friends in high places, who's able to go directly to them, those boosters, those donors that he knows and loves, and get the NIL. Unfortunately for Pittman, Pittman doesn't necessarily have one of those, which is fine. So then it's up to the administration to handle it. And they don't. They don't. They'd rather just look at you and say, well, we think we're going to be average, so good luck. Do whatever you need to do, but you ain't getting any help from us. You have to set up your coaches for success. If Sam Pittman had the ultimate budget of whatever NIL money he wanted, would that make him a national championship winning coach? I don't know. Probably not. But for those of you and all of us who may have thought that Sam Pittman needed to go, move on, no longer be the coach here, will it really matter? Whoever the coach comes in next, if he doesn't have the support to win. Sometimes it's bigger than just the head coach and moving on. Sometimes it needs to be from the very top of major change that needs to happen. Maybe not in personnel per se, but in mentality. Arkansas is lacking that dog in them. Not in the players' hearts and not in the coaches' hearts, but in the offices, in the buildings, in the penny pinchers, and the bean counters. Take the risk. Go after the big dogs, the big splash, and the big moves, and the success will come along with it. Set your coaches up for success, and then you won't have any excuses. There won't be any issues. You'll be the school that everybody wants to play at, and you'll be the school that all the coaches want to coach at because they know that they will have the support to get it done. That's all I wanted to say on the matter. I do want to talk about John Calipari next. People really hate him. How'd this happen? We'll get to that and more, so stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. And with Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more experts ready to take you in your business to that next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring people simple and affordable. If you need help with marketing campaigns, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who has delivered incredible results. And even posting a job is free and simple. And within a day, with multiple qualified candidates to choose from, instead of hiring full-time, Upwork can help you find affordable top-tier freelancers to scale the businesses effectively. So visit Upwork.com and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I think I've talked about this a little bit before, but maybe not into this in depth of a situation with John Calipari, your head basketball coach. You know John, Coach Cal. You know him. We all know how great he's of a job he's done, and we know what great of a job he continues to do. We all wish that he could probably make another splash out of the portal or something like that, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. Yeah, maybe just wait on Carter Knox, maybe something like that. I don't know, but still, they're in a good position moving forward with Coach Cal at Arkansas. And I thought that throughout the season, the amount of people, national media, mainly, but the amount of people that came out after Cal and just ripped him, hated on him, rooted for him to lose, rooted for him to fail, all of that was so absurd, but at least made some sense in some capacity. Because I even said on this podcast, I believed the reason why people came after Cal from the national media perspective is that they were so mad, so bitter that a local media member from Arkansas is the one that broke the news about him leaving Kentucky to go to Arkansas. The biggest college basketball, one of the biggest college sports coaching news you'll ever see. That news was broken by Wes Moore down at 103.7 The Buzz and down there in Wooded Rock. So I still believe there's a lot of animosity from national media because of that, because he didn't talk to them, he didn't open up to them, they didn't get it, and they hate him for it. So I always felt that was the case. But I think there's another part of it too, where coaches, or I should say the media, was really wanting to be right. And there's nothing better. There's nothing, if you go out with a bold claim, in the media, there's nothing that'll get you going a little bit more, nothing get you off more than being right and being able to point back to be like, I said this from the get-go. I tried to tell y'all. I knew better than you. Okay. That's stupid, but that's a thing. But here we are after the season ended, and Razorback basketball is in a good spot. They got some good recruiting going on, transfer portals, all that stuff. And yesterday, On3, a website I respect, media outlet that I respect, have some decent pickers and experts and analysis of college basketball on there. They put out their way too early top 25 for college basketball. Way too early top 25. I was interested in seeing it because, John Rothstein had Arkansas in his top 10, field of 68 guys. They had him, Arkansas in the top 15 roughly. Pretty much everybody who was anybody. I think Jeff Borzillo had Arkansas from ESPN, had Arkansas in the top 15. So it's like, okay, yeah, top 15, you're there. Some people think higher, lower, whatever it is. On3 didn't even have Arkansas and John Calipari in their top 25. Not even in the top 25. Well, why does it matter, John? It's a preseason poll. It's way too early. Who cares? I care. Because it just continues to prove the point that I've been trying to make. See what I did there? Always going back to prove the point when I'm right. There's a very ridiculous over-the-top agenda being made by media members against Cal. They hate him. They want him to fail. And I think part of it can be simply that they know that it'll drive traffic. They know it'll drive clicks. And Razorback fans, we love you. God love you. But y'all love to see where you guys rank at. And if you're not ranked, you love to get pissed about it. And when you love to get pissed about it, you're going to share it. You're going to tweet about it. You're going to send in your group text. Be like, hey, you can believe what this moron said? And they're going to get those clicks. Boop, 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 boop. So, that's part of it. But I truly do believe the other part of it is that they don't like Cal. And they want Cal to fail. They will never hype him up in a positive manner. And it's so strange because here I am being the one that defending Cal, and for years I hated the man. And that's another thing too. I kept thinking maybe they hate him because in the same way if I hated him, because he wasn't my coach, but now he's my coach. I put on through a different lens. Maybe that was the case, but I don't think so, man. Something's changed dramatically in the way that Cal is viewed. And maybe there's part of it that was going on while he was at Kentucky at the end. But I honestly, truly believe all of it came from Arkansas when he decided to take the job. I don't think it's ever going to change, and that's fine as long as he keeps winning. He keeps doing his thing, because then I don't really care. But it's just incredible to me to see the absolute determination and dedication to running this thing of like, hey, we hate Cal and we hope he fails. So let's just continue to do stuff, even though we have no logical reasoning behind it and we shouldn't be taken seriously. Let's continue to do stuff that makes us look like we're in charge and we know what's going on when you don't. So stupid. I got to ask a question about Razorback baseball. Y'all are nervous. I am nervous, but why are we nervous? We'll talk about that coming up next. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, the NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game. Before tip-off and live with player props, performance trends, and same-game parlays, fans have more ways than ever to play smart and to win big. What would it look like to combine live props for bets mid-game based on how the action unfolds? You know, if you got a read on who's going to be heating up in a game, why not back it up with some same-game parlay? That's what FanDuel has to offer. How could a $200 bonus in bets add to the excitement if your first $5 bet wins? Last time I checked, 200 is a lot more than 5. So check it out. If you're new to FanDuel, it's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Razorback baseball is, in a good spot. Speaking of projections, everyone's got them as a national seed right now, which is fair and right, and it's the way it should be. No surprise there. But every Razorback fan I've talked to, there's always just this fear. It's a fear, man. Like, if you take away your fandom towards the Razorbacks and you look at what Arkansas is and what they're made up of and the type of team that they are and how they look right now, you would bet the house that they would be a College World Series caliber team. In fact, you would be shocked if they didn't make it to the College World Series. And some of you would even be surprised that if they didn't make it to the College World Series finals, maybe even win it all, if you took your Razorback fandom out of it. But yet here we are, still fearful of it. Now it's justified because, Arkansas lost the past 2 seasons in their own home regional as a national seed. So it's not like there's no evidence pointing towards it. There is. But here's my question to all of you, and I want you all to think about this. Is the only reason you feel like Arkansas may not make the College World Series, is the only reason you are chalking it up to is fear? You're just scared that they're going to fail again early in the postseason? Is that it? If so, that's fine. I'm not going to take that from you. But is it justified? Maybe. But I believe if you look at the team in its entirety and look at the specific positions of pitching, hitting, defense, everything, if you can't point to any of that and say, this is why this team is not going to make Omaha, then that's a little bit different. Now, nothing's perfect. I mean, we've seen starting pitching struggle a little bit. But there's a difference between struggling and not being any good. Arkansas's good. They got good starting pitching, but they struggled. Hopefully they can continue to get better. Hopefully with Gage Wood being back, everything gets better. The hitting has struggled at times, but again, it's the difference between struggling and being not good. They're good. This team's really good. This team does not have a weakness. There's no guarantees. But if the only reason that you feel like Razorback baseball won't make Omaha is just because you're scared to admit that they're that good, then my advice to you is just let it ride out. because I think I'm starting to change my mind a little bit and starting to change my vibes a little bit to where I not only feel good about this team making Omaha, but I don't really see why they don't. I'm sure they won't come back to bite me, right? Sure didn't jinx it, right? Of course not. Y'all would never hold that against me. You never do. Appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching in to the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great day, everybody. We'll see you then.